Okay, now we're live. Welcome. Hello, everyone. Joel here. I am going to make myself full screen because I'm going to be spotlighting. If I'm full screen, somebody give me a thumbs up. All right. Wow, that's a lot of thumbs. Welcome to this week's weekly briefing. This is the time during the week where we pause and look at a current trend, a hot button, talk about something that everyone's talking about. I am normally joined by my co-conspirator, Tim Thompson, but he is taking a break today, mostly because he's got a son having a birthday, but also because I've got two guests with us, Ed from Spillt and Ryan from Weekend Video. I'm going to make these guys also part of the spotlight here. So gentlemen, Ryan, can you say hello and give me, your friends here, the 20-second who you are and what you do?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm Ryan, and I am the one of the directors here at Weekend Video. Filmmaker, now podcaster, starting a few months ago, writer, lover of all things what you see around me. Do you want me to go to Weekend Video or save that for a little?
Yeah, you can save it. I'll prompt you. So just hang tight. It's all good.
Cool.
Ed, welcome. Good to see you again so soon, my friend. I was just in Denver a few days ago. For anyone that didn't see the pictures, go to the Rev community platform, or you can see on my socials. I just posted pictures from that super awesome cohort dinner that we did. But Ed, give us the quick intro to you.
I'm Ed Rhine, and I am the owner and ECD at Spillt in Denver. And I'm sure there's a lot more to go into, like Ryan was suggesting about, who we are and what we do, but we're just, essentially we like working with fun people and making fun work.
Okay, right on. Well, here's how I'm going to start us off, because there's this little story that I tell. And Ryan, both you and Ed have been through Jumpstart, so you know this story very well. But for anyone that has not heard this story, I'm going to share my screen because this is one of the more painful moments in my career. Let's see here. Let me get this up. I'm going to go to my keynote. Okay, here it is. I once spent the better part of, it took 3 years once to get a meeting with a prospective client that I really wanted to do work with. And that guy was Roger Hyde at DirecTV, okay? And what happened was, after trying concertedly every few months, reaching out, trying to get a meeting, we finally have this meeting at Promax on the floor in the lobby of the JW Marriott, I think it is, for those of you that have been there. And it's finally the moment. Okay, here's this senior vice president creative at DirecTV. There's myself, my team, his team. We sit down and he goes, okay, so Joel, tell me about Impossible. And I rattled off something like this. Well, we are a creative studio that's passionate about producing award-winning storytelling. We have a unique process. It's really design-driven, and we're super into collaboration and blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to skip ahead here because in this module, I've got a bunch of other stuff that I'm going to skip past. So here's the way the story unfolds. Roger says, tell me about your company. And I blabber off this, we are design and branding passionate, blah, blah, blah. And then Roger says, he actually stops me mid-sentence. He holds up his hand and he says, I've met with a dozen companies like yours today. And if I'm totally honest, you guys all suck at marketing. So why should I trust you with marketing my brand? Obviously a very painful moment for me because the meeting is essentially over. Like, I've already blown it. So we just kind of talked a little bit more and exchanged pleasantries and this, that, and the other. But I went home humiliated, never worked with DirecTV. But I said, when I got home, I was like, I am changing this positioning, like how we're perceived and how we talk about ourselves and what it is that we focus on from this. And then a few months later, we were this. And there's a whole lot more story and detail there that I won't go into, but I'm just curious, who here can relate to this story when you're put on the spot, right? Hey, who are you? What do you do? And we all fumble and we all stumble and so forth. And that's okay, because that's where we start. It's all part of the journey. Ryan, I'll start with you. I'm curious because you have been through quite a journey in this whole
Definitely.
question, right? Around positioning. Yep. And
For sure.
I would just be curious to know, and remember, we've got 23 minutes left here, so we will have to be pretty crisp, but does this story resonate with you in terms of where you were in before you were even Weekend Video? Because you had a different company name, what, a year ago?
Totally. I'll keep it brief, but yeah, we are a small production company, and we were called Maker Table. And it's, long story short, it was a name we came up with because we couldn't think of anything else. And then, of course, our company takes off, and we're like, I guess that's it now. And we eventually grow to be fine with it. But yeah, we were at Maker Table. We blur the lines between film and advertising. That was the tagline we had. And I have some visuals that I could show too.
Sure.
But
show something real quick so we can
sure,
get what that looked like.
I'll just so you guys can get a quick. But this is us now, Weekend Video. But so it was Maker Table. We blurred the lines between film and advertising, and then we became Weekend Video, the funnest videos this side of Friday. And really, that came out of us. Yeah, I mean, really positioning. We were like a nothing sandwich, and we wanted to embrace more of who we were, and we were all about fun. So why not have a brand that revolves around that? Yeah.
Now, can I interrupt and ask this question? What was it that wasn't working when you were Maker Table and you were what did you call it? What kind of sandwich?
A nothing sandwich.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess really we had a name that I thought it invoked like granola, maker culture, like wood, stuff that we weren't passionate about. And anytime we did it wasn't Jumpstart, it was the one right at the beginning of the pandemic. Yes, Revolve. And it was like realizing, if we do positioning, it needs to be revolved around like who we are as a company, the name of our company, our branding. And we just weren't passionate about it at all. And it got us thinking, we need to actually be passionate about our brand to be able to be proud of it and grow as a company. So
do you feel like the old positioning wasn't getting you where you wanted to go because it just, one, you weren't passionate about it, but it didn't get you?
We looked like everybody else, and we were trying to be everybody else. We're trying to be like other successful companies because that's what we thought we had to do.
Now, I remember the moment when, and I can't remember if it was during the 8 weeks or maybe after, but you were like, we think we're going to rename. We think we're going to become Weekend Video. And I can remember my first thought was, what? Because it's so different. Okay. Mm-hmm. But then once I started to get comfortable with the idea and realize you guys were so much about humor and true filmmaking and the nerdiness and the history and legacy of classic cult movies and things like this, I said, damn, this is really fun. So can you give us the quick version of what's it been like to unleash this new positioning into the world?
Totally. I think just on a personal level, it was very freeing and creatively fulfilling, just basically building a brand around something that we're very passionate about. And just starting with the name Weekend Video, it immediately, when we tell people that, they immediately kind of have this nostalgic like blockbuster like idea in their mind, yes, which is exactly what we wanted to give them. And then
keep talking, because I'm going to grab something you sent me.
Okay, great. I don't have to show photos now. But yeah, just starting with that and just the positioning, really embracing funnest as our sort of word. It's a word that a lot of people say it shouldn't even exist. It's not grammatically correct, but just embracing that. Sorry, I'm jumping around because I'm distracted by Joel's Vanna Whiting that box. Yeah, and I think it immediately set us apart because people now look at us and we are way different than the really serious sort of corporate or professional looking production companies, especially in the DFW area that we're competing against. We're sort of one of a kind and really can embrace who we are and just be ourselves and be proud of that. So
This is easily my favorite super nerd thing here. For those of you that were born in the last 50 years, right? This beauty right here. So what is it meant, just like where the rubber meets the road? I'm really curious just to know, like, when you reach out to perhaps a past client that you're looking to really re-engage, do something new and exciting with, or especially when you reach out to new clients, what is it like now that you have this statement of who you are as opposed to the old?
It's funny, there's actually a few of our old clients that we weren't too crazy about when we unleashed this. They definitely thought it was super weird, and we've since stopped working with those clients, which I think is totally fine, and we're fine with it. And then others, I think the biggest thing is we immediately will tell them about our rebranding, show them, or they've already seen it, and the first thing is always, "This is so unique. I've never seen anything like this, and like this is so cool." Grant could, my EP Grant is on the line. He could probably tell you he has meetings with our past and new clients, and it's always starting with that, which I think is a helpful. I mean, it encourages me, because it used to just be we were like one of the other 10 production companies that they're getting emails from all the time. So
Grant, can I spot real quick and get you to chime in?
Totally.
Yeah, I think, like, what's the before and after experience like when you're doing outreach and as people get to know your brand?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is it's pre-qualifying so many clients for us already. And I think one of the biggest differences is now a majority of the emails that I get from a client, a couple that we've worked with maybe once before, but especially newer ones that we've never worked with, is they're emailing saying, "Hey, we think you guys would be great for this spot," or "We think you guys would be great for this project." And I think that's the biggest difference. Is before, it's like Ryan said, because we were kind of we're a production company for full service, we kind of do it all. It was, "Hey, we have this social thing we need to do," anywhere from that to, agency going, "Hey, we got a $250,000 TV spot," whatever. And then we just go and pitch our idea, whatever. Whereas it's, this brand reached out to us and go, "Hey, we have this holiday campaign and we have a creative brief and we thought you guys would be perfect for this project." And I think that was one of the biggest things has been really cool to see, is people are coming to us because they know, they've seen the brand difference, essentially.
All right, so it makes me want to posit a theory. And that is, maybe when a business like yours is small and you basically have a client base that's local, but you're getting clients because of your geography. And it's like, well, there's those guys, but they're from all different industries and sectors and styles and so forth. So you're somewhat of a chameleon, right? You sort of take whatever you can get because you got to pay the bills. But then as you grow, like when someone like me comes along and says, "Hey, you got to have really narrow focus positioning," and people freak out because they think we're going to be turning away all this opportunity. But then my encouragement, because I'm hearing this in your story, is actually by going super narrow, but sending that message out across the entire country or even around the world. When somebody hits your website, they see your POV, they understand your positioning. When they reach out to you, they already know. They already know what they're getting. So there's none of this like, "Hey, how would you guys treat this? And maybe you'd be a fit. We're not really sure because you guys do everything." No, you kind of do this. So if I'm reaching out to you, it's because I want that. Would you?
Right.
Am I right about my theory?
Yeah, absolutely. We've definitely seen that where, again, I think it's just pre-qualifying people more, where, because I even had a conversation with my wife whenever we were going through this, and I was showing her some of the website stuff, and she was like, "This is cool, but like, are people going to get it?" And I was like, "The thing is, if they don't, they're not going to email us. And that's what I want, because I don't want to waste time going through that process of, and they don't get it. We don't want to work with them then." And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just creative, personal, whatever differences. So, I think it's definitely true.
So now, for anyone that's listening to this, let's at least acknowledge the fear, because what you just said, that story of what you told your wife, that's really bold. I mean, when you're business is on the line. You're either going to land the next client, the next project, get the next check, or not, and potentially be out of business. What would you say to one of your peers that's saying, oh, I just don't know if I could do that. That's too scary.
Man, I mean, I think that's hard to say because, yeah, I mean, it is a risk for sure. And it's, been a risk, and it's still the process. Like, we're still a couple months past relaunch.
We're about 4 or 5 months in. So
yeah, and honestly, there's still clients. Like, I talked to a client, just doing it. I'd send an email, catch up, hey, how's it going? Let's touch base. And basically he hadn't even really seen that we had rebranded. He was looking at the website. He's like, man, this looks badass. Like, this is so cool, and we've done work for him, so it's like, we're still, it still is a process of getting our new name out there. Cause even former clients are still realizing we've rebranded.
It's also proof that your clients don't read your newsletter.
Right.
Yeah. Or busy.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Right. But I think another thing that's been really interesting as far as the creative, satisfying thing is a really common thing we've heard over and over from former clients is when they see it, they go, man, this is so you guys. Like, this is so you guys. And so I think as a creative, that feels very satisfying knowing, okay, cool. We're projecting a brand that is a reflection really of us. And then hopefully, people are, again, drawn to that. So even if you're kind of scared or on the fence of doing that, if that, I think, helps, being able to rebrand for you to have a better reflection of who you are and the creative that you want to be and things like that, then I think even that has so much value in itself.
All right, well, I want to switch over and get Ed in here because we got about 11 minutes left. But Ryan, just real quick, I think I remember when we went through attracting better clients and you guys talked about doing some sort of a podcast or show or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying, hey, if somebody watches your show, they're going to be like, who is this crazy Ryan guy? And then when they find out that you're one of the partners at Weekend Video, it's going to be like, oh, of course, this guy runs a production company. How cool is that? Is that starting to play out a little bit? Like, are you enjoying
it's
podcast?
It's great. It's
with it and
totally. Jumpstart was awesome, if only that it started this podcast that we have now. But no, it's been really great because it's like we started as just sort of an organic marketing tool to kind of, this is who we are as a company, but more, this is just us being creative and being who we are. So the Writers Room Game Show, our podcast, and I feel like we are building sort of a community. Ryan Summers, he's a listener. He messages me every week about this podcast.
what's the name
but
again?
yeah,
Writers
no,
Room Game Show?
Yeah, and it's really fun. And I think if anything, it just like sort of goes along. Me and Grant talk about it a lot, just sort of building. If you go to our website, see our podcast, it all goes into the brand and who we are. And yeah, I mean, and it's just a fun way to be creative. So I'm a big fan now of companies starting podcasts and live shows and these kind of things.
Well, I'm like a proud papa. I'm not going to lie, but let's shift gears. And Ed, I'm going to put you front and center here. So thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Grant. I'm going to give you the friendly boot here with the remove spotlight, so Ed and I can focus. Ed, I think what's so fun about
here.
Oh yeah. I was going to say what's so fun about your story is, for everyone's benefit here, Spillt has been around how many years now?
15.
15. All right, so 15 years. And here's what I'm going to say. You are about 4 months behind Ryan and Grant in this process, meaning you've been in the process of figuring out the positioning. We've been doing all this work and you're about to unleash this thing. And so in a way, you're giving us all this incredible sneak peek. But let me start with this. Before you show us anything new, was there a challenge or a problem with the old positioning, the old way that you spoke to the world, as opposed to what you sensed was possible?
Yeah, I think so. This is our very, very old one. I've updated the site a little bit with some new copies. So this was like the super generic, like, we're a motion design and animation agency. Like, that tells you nothing. Right. But to me, it was like it never really spoke to who we were as the team, what we wanted to do. And it certainly didn't drive any curiosity. We were just another studio out there, making work and having a website. But for us,
was the theory back then, well, we'll just let the work speak for itself? Because that sounds like something your former partner might say.
Absolutely. It was totally like, we'll put the latest, greatest projects up. We'll update the website. People see it, they'll love it, and we'll get more work.
Okay. And what was wrong with that?
What was wrong with that? It just, it got us work, but it didn't get us the work that we particularly want to focus on, I feel like. And it's hard to push that out because, like, without something to drive someone to click on the work in a newsletter or email or something else, like without that curiosity aspect, like it just doesn't convert to people emailing you back and connecting about projects. We had done all kinds of things about like pirates and everything was out on the table. We did this huge exercise, eventually scrapped it. And I went with something that was like, this was basically just like, we're practice perfectionists, which really didn't say a whole lot either.
Right. Okay, so obviously we can fast forward and reveal that there's this unveiling that's coming, right? What was the epiphany moment for you that said, now's the time, we should change this and do something awesome?
So for me, it was actually the founder and my old partner leaving the company. I was working with Tim and he was like, dude, you should take Jumpstart. And I thought that was the perfect time because for me, what I really wanted to do was focus on we're 15 years, old, but now I'm starting a new company essentially. And if I'm going to use that marker of my partner leaving, what is this new thing? What does it look like? How do we, engage with our clients? How do we, look and feel and sound and everything like that? And so this has been an awesome exercise.
All right, well,
we're 2 weeks away.
Yeah, give us a peek from what's coming.
So we went from very dark and serious, I feel like, with grays and golds. So now basically who we are is we're the chaotic art of simple solutions. That's what we do for clients. It's a messy process, but we work for, brands, for, advertising, for Netflix and all kinds of places to basically come up with what's the best, simplest solution to make their work stand out.
Yeah, taking this to this level, it's like the Weekend Video guys, the extent to which you embrace this, hey, what could be possible, to me is really exciting, scary at the same time, right? Because this is a pretty massive undertaking.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow.
And it's so this is kind of, starting to, you and I worked on developing a language library. So now we're at the point of rolling it out into our website that we're looking at 2 weeks from yesterday.
All right, now I don't want to spill the beans because there's this little 2-word phrase. And do you have anything that shows that, or do you want to speak it into the universe?
It's actually going to be in our anthem, but "Get Spillt" is our rally cry. It's our invitation to, basically to drive clients to work with us, go through our process, and unlock content and release it to the world.
So there's this idea of when something is spilled out, it's unleashed and poured out into the world. So "Get Spillt" is almost this way of creating in the world. And for people that get excited about that, well, obviously those are your people and you should hang out with them and you guys are going to make amazing things together. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the idea, I think, was really to take something that had a negative connotation and put a positive to it, spilling the beans or spilled milk,
right.
It has this long-standing, feeling of something that isn't good, but for us it is good and it's great for our clients.
Yeah, there's a nice opportunity there for what I call that dichotomy in your brain when you take a negative and you make it a positive, and there's that pattern interrupting your brain that says, wait, isn't that a negative? But that's a positive. That doesn't make any sense. And that's usually the moment when somebody doesn't swipe. They don't scroll off. They don't open a new web page. They say, well, wait, what does that mean? Right? That's the essence of curiosity. So do you have anything else you can show us, or are we going to just have to wait for 2 more weeks?
I mean, we're working on an anthem piece as well. I'm hoping we'll have that in 2 weeks, but I'm sure like everybody else out there, it's crazy right now. But yeah, I can share some more stuff. I just have the mock-ups that we were working with, but you know, I can also share the language library if you wanted to run through something like that. But
you know what, it might be fun just to kind of flip through the language library. I know it will be quick and people will be like, no, wait, slow down.
yeah, so this is what we kind of came up with, and this is what we present to like our sales team, you know, everyone on staff, and it kind of drives everything that we do for social, for how we interact with our clients. You know, like we're confident, capable, and collaborative. You know, and get Spillt is our rally cry. Yep. And then you know, we kind of have like, this is a huge area to just pull from, you know, for when we want to have like those moments in decks to, like, as Mitch says, like refresh the palette. Like, you know, we can throw in some nice messaging about who we are and what we do. But yeah, I mean, we walked away with like all kinds of like website examples, you know, how we can go through and do different like social platforms, like, because for us, Instagram and LinkedIn are really the things that actually drive work to us, whereas like, you know, Facebook and Twitter are more artists wanting to work with us. So then we have like different versions of elevator pitches, you know, and then just a ton of different slogans that we can use, you know, in our like outreach and marketing. And this is all culminating after a few months now in like a planned release. So we're actually just going to start with our new colors as like the, you know, Adobe swatch color, and that's just going to be a huge social media post and takeover with nothing else there. And then start to release that as we soft launch the website. And then invite our clients that are, you know, are in our top area to go through and meet the new Spillt.
So Ed, we should give some proper credit, because obviously you and I got to work with Stuart, who is a brilliant freaking copywriter that helped with all this, and he just crushed it. And I think I'm you can tell I'm giddy, right, as waiting for this to be unleashed on the world, because I've always known this potential was there. Have you noticed a shift with your team? Like, this isn't just an outward facing thing, an external communication, it's an internal one.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the things where a lot of our staff, we're just hiring some new people very recently, even today, but a lot of our people have been there for like, you know, 5 to 7 years. You know, one guy's been there longer than I've been there by a month. So
wild.
And I'm the owner now. So it's an interesting thing of just seeing like me putting the time, like working on the business, working on the positioning, including them in the process as well, has really like changed morale so much for the better. It's always good. We're kind of a tight-knit family, but I mean, people are just motivated, doing extra work to help get this done. Yeah, I mean, like everyone is so excited for the future, and I think this is a huge part of it.
And it's like you, Ed, it's like you've created this vision sort of out in front of everybody, and now you're inviting them into this story, and they get to take part in it and play a part in a really exciting story. And I can imagine how that must feel for them.
Yeah, I think it feels authentic to them too, because, you know, if it's not, it's hard to get your team behind you on something that's like, you know, essentially, I feel like, well, this is all marketing. So, you know, if they're not into it, then it ultimately isn't going to work. Wow.
Well, I can't wait to see it unleash. I'm so thrilled you were willing to show up today and share this with everybody. It's a great peek, like behind the veil of what it really looks like to do this and do the hard work. So I know everyone here is excited. If you like what Ed had to say and share, of course, give him a big high five and shout out. We are 2 minutes over, so I should wrap this up. I'm curious to, I'd love, Ryan, can I pick, as in Summers, I was curious if you had a thought after seeing all of this, if you had a sentence or two you might want to share with us.
I think I was half joking. I think Ed needs to start a podcast called Brave and Bold now and get Ryan Polly as the first guest.
Absolutely, that'd be awesome.
I'm so down. Get spilled.
Get spilled. No, but I really love I think some of the stuff that was in the website that I saw, that you're doing that that like opposition thing where you have a great pop song, but you actually read the lyrics and they're really dark. Like there's something in there where you're kind of invoking mystery by the words, but you're actually portraying something way more open and way more friendly and way more counter to what people would think if they saw just the name or just those descriptions. Like when I hear Spillt, immediately I'm like, oh, spill blood, spill milk, spill. But then like the branding itself has this totally different, like much more like inclusive vibe, but also at the same time super specific, which is really kind of the hardest trick to pull, right? I mean, that's what I love so much about Weekend Video. As a media, I'm like, oh, if Blockbuster was still around and they had an agency of record, it would have to be Weekend Video. You'd feel like it was the
100%.
in-house agency, right? Like it does that same trick in a really, I think even harder to do because you've been open for so long, you've been around for so long, right? And you have all that momentum and just like emotional debt of like everything that came before it, that it's hard to shed that and move forward. So I don't know. It's just these calls always make me wish I actually had my own company. I feel like an imposter being on these calls. But yeah, they're awesome. They're great lessons for the future.
Hey, if only we could have taken DK through this process, right, Ryan?
Don't even start about that. That's another show for another time. Pretend it was a year before DK closed and what would we have actually done? Because I can show you the website that's garbage that still kind of lives. That was the answer at the time. That is not what it should have been.
Would have, right?
Another day for another time. Yeah.
All right. Well, look, I'm excited. But before the end of this month, I'm going to start my next jumpstart. I'm going to take, about 10 folks through this process, plus a bunch of other things. So if you know somebody who is in need of this magic positioning thing that Ed and Grant and Ryan were kind enough to share with us today, of course, reach out to me or my team, and we'd love to have you benefit from this as well. Thank you so much, Ryan Summers, for dropping in unannounced. Or taking my invitation. And then Grant, Ryan, I'm just going to spotlight you and say thanks to you guys. Really appreciate you and Ed sharing, giving us a peek behind the veil of what this whole process has been like for you guys. So thank you.
Of course.
Thank you guys for having us.
All right,
Yeah,
this is
thank
the
you, Joel.
weekly briefing. Hats off to Tim. Hope he is enjoying his time off. And as you know, we exist to help you thrive in business and life and career. So if we can help in any way, reach out to us. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in Rev community on the platform, hopefully at a upcoming cohort dinner too. Doesn't that sound fun? All right, everyone. Thanks again. We'll see you next week.